Hi everyone, it's Sajid from Giving Back Crawley. I just wanted to do a short video today regarding homelessness around us. So at Giving Back Crawley, we've been feeding the homeless 4 times a week for over a year. It was May the 27th last year it started. And I think over that time, I've got to know a lot more about the homeless, a lot more about their situations, their scenarios, why they ended up homeless. And I guess before this was started, I didn't really have much interaction with them. It was only what I'd heard from other people and what I'd seen in the streets. So there was an incident, and I want to share that with you at the end of the video, just to see why I'm doing this video. But it'd be really good for the community, for us to kind of brush up on our knowledge, understand what can lead to homelessness, avoid some of the stereotyping and the stigmas attached to it. So, avoid some of the stuff that you might have heard from your friend or your neighbours, and then we've just carried that thought about the homeless, like I did myself. And talking about some of the statistics, some of the stats, and hopefully getting a bit more information of how we can help, what the experience has been like at Giving Back Crawley. So a couple of numbers to start with around rough sleepers. So I used Homeless Link for the information here for the total number of rough sleepers in the UK. So first off, different types of homelessness. So you've got statutory and your temporary in the council accommodation, that temporary accommodation like hostels and so on and so forth. You've got your hidden homeless, your sofa surfers, and your rough sleepers out on the street. And this one is rough sleepers. So 4,751 rough sleepers estimated at the beginning of this year, which is an incredible amount for a country like us. So that's up 15% from the year before, which is, again, a huge increase. How many in Crawley? Now, there's a few numbers that have been floating about that have been reported. And over the last few weeks, we've been trying to do a bit of a tallying exercise of rough sleepers that we've been serving. And we think there's around 45, which is quite a lot more and considerably more than you'd think. So a lot of rough sleeping going on in the UK. And of course, if you're around Crawley, you'll probably see them around and about. What I want to talk about and what I want to really kind of pinpoint on is some of the reasons people end up homeless. So at the moment, it's kind of just the words that are, and I don't like words like junkie, I don't like words like crackheads, and everyone just jumps onto, oh, do you know what, they're just kind of like this, they're a bit stupid. But in actual fact, that's really wrong. And it's kind of a level of naivety as well, kind of assuming that and jumping onto the conversation that you had with someone, and you assume that everyone's under the same branch. And I want to just go through a couple of the different reasons that may result in homelessness. And I think it's really important that we don't deny their humanity and make sure that we understand these are just humans like us that have just got problems, that we all face problems of different degrees, and we want to understand what can lead to it. So starting off with poverty and low income, which sounds kind of self-explanatory because obviously you'd expect the homeless to be poverty stricken. Now, poverty, economic kind of factors is a huge around the UK, to the point you get your nurses going to food banks in some certain cases, rent levels going through the roof. In Crawley, there will be those families, there'll be many families that are dependent on every single month's income or salary. So if they miss that 1 month income, that 1 month salary, they'll probably be flat broke. They won't be able to pay their rent or their mortgage. They won't be able to pay their credit cards or their debts or whatever other finances they've got. They won't be able to go food shopping and so on and so forth. So it's really important that we understand that a lot can be down. It could be 1 month away from someone losing their home, someone not, getting thrown out, the locks change and so on and so forth. So low income and poverty can be a reason for people ending out on the streets. Bereavement and abuse. So bereavement, if we speak to some of the individuals that we feed on a weekly basis, many of them have had close relatives pass away. So you have your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your daughter, your son, and so people handle these things in different ways. I think I would handle it different from one of the other volunteers or one of the others at home. Everyone handles it different. Some people handle it okay, sometimes it just impacts their whole life, they struggle, and that slip down of that mental health, which we'll come on to in just a moment. Abuse, all sorts of abuse, mental, physical, emotional, and this could be any relationships from childhood, from parents. that can have a huge impact from how you're going to live your life. Going through the system, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And abuse being a big factor as well. PTSD and mental health. So just for an example of Brighton, not that I work down Brighton, but there's a charity who work with ex-forces, and they say there's around 198 homeless ex-forces in Brighton alone, and many of them suffer from PTSD. It's not only ex-forces that suffer from PTSD, it's many other people as well. And you can get PTSD from car accidents, for example. Mental health, a huge factor of mental health. So through statistics, your homed individual, 30% of them suffer from mental health. Homeless people, 72%, so that's over double. Same with physical health, 27% for your homed individuals, 56%, just over double for homeless. So a huge impact on mental health. Now it's getting a bit more awareness now with mental health, but really it can come as a result of homelessness, or it can come beforehand. And more often than not, many of the people we feed are on some sort of spectrum of mental health, all the way from quite soft to quite severe. So something that shouldn't be missed. Relationship breakdown. So you have that argument with your husband, your wife, you have that argument with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you move to a new town, whatever it might be, that breaks down. The next thing, your locks are changed, you've got nowhere to go, abuse can settle in, whatever it might be. Relationship breakdown can also lead to the homelessness. Drugs and alcohol. So again, drugs and alcohol can be a result and it can be pre. So what I mean by that is you could become homeless and then end up an addict, or you can be an addict that would result to you being homeless. It's not necessarily all the way around. I think this is the one stigma that's always attached. The words that I don't really like using anyway, that are always attached to the homeless instantly. Some of the homeless are addicts, some are not. So we've got to make sure that we don't just label them all the same and kind of live in our bubble. That's what we think they are. We're going to stay away from them because they're all these kind of people. They're all a bit, whatever it might be. But actually that's not the case. And trust me, we've experienced it 4 times a week, and really it couldn't be anything further from the truth of how they are and how they interact with us. But there are addicts, there are addictions, but again, it's not quite what the community tends to feel or think. So, my experience and what can we do? I mean, we've built some amazing relationships and friendships with the homeless. I think sometimes we could say they're friends. We'd like to go out for a coffee with them, go grab some food outside of feeding time, and or the time that we give food. I think they've been polite to us. They've respected us and we've respected them. They've helped us pack up. I've seen some of the homeless individuals clear up rubbish from the night before at 6 a.m. from the people that have been going out on getting drunk in the bars. They are humans, right? They are just like myself and yourself, but they might have some more visible problems than we do. We all go through problems. And I think it's really important to understand that. I think we can't really speak on behalf of them unless we've either experienced it or we work very closely to them. Before this experience, I thought very differently of the homeless, but now I think it's very much changed. The love that I have for them, because they're just genuinely nice people. Now, you go to Tesco's 1,000 times, your one bad experience is going to taint the other 1,000 times. And unfortunately, we stereotype and we attach those all the time. And as a Muslim, I understand it as well, and different faiths and different ethnicities will understand that as well, the whole stereotyping thing. So I completely understand how people stereotype, and it's almost kind of human nature, but really we've got to detach ourselves to that and really educate each other and understand the problems that they go through on a daily basis. What can we do? There's loads of things we can do. The one thing I say is, let's not live in our bubble, right? Let's not expect everyone else to sort it out. Let's not kind of live in this and ignore it. If I don't see it, it's not really a situation. So what can we do? There's different homeless charities. So for example, you have the Open House, which is probably the biggest organisation in Crawley. There's Giving Back Crawley, which is us. There's Feed Crawley. There's the Friary Church. There's a few organisations that you can spread awareness about. You can perhaps donate to, not financially necessarily. You can donate your time. Diverted giving, which is, you know, you're giving your goods and services to them so they can then allocate it as best appropriately. And kind of even starting up little projects of awareness. NCS, they've been helping us a lot. So we've got, you know, from 16 to 18-year-olds or 15 to 18-year-olds coming up, doing awareness, fundraising and stuff. I mean, it's amazing. It makes a big difference to the individuals. I think the other thing is if we see homeless, what can we do with them? You know, I think offer them some water. In this heat, a bottle of water could go a long way. You know, maybe a sandwich, maybe a drink. I don't personally condone giving money out, and I never suggest that, but offering them that, maybe a smile, you know, maybe a smile, maybe a conversation if they, you know, willing to have a conversation with you, or sometimes they're having bad days, sometimes they're having good days. Just talk to them, remember their names and walk past. And, you know, for example, if I was to use the name Andy, for example, how you doing, Andy? You all right? And maybe that's a really special thing to them. The other thing is about understanding and talking to people when they are going out on a night out, for example. Now, some of the homeless are in the town centre. When people are getting, you know, drunk, and I've seen, you know, we've witnessed urination on them, or people are hitting them for no reason or abusing them, that kind of stuff needs to be cleared out, because, again, it's the humanity. We're all humans. So how can you degrade someone like that? So with more awareness, there is less of those incidents. So a bit of knowledge, a bit of sharing that and that positive experience can really change the way that they live and the impact that we have on them. StreetLink, an app, and I think it is majority in London at the moment. I don't know if it's actually stretched down to Crawley, but download StreetLink app, and what you do is if you go to London, if you see someone on the streets, you can give in the details of where they are and they can get picked up and perhaps get shelter for the night. So a really, really good one there as well. I think that the crux is that I think we need to brush up just slightly. This happened, and the frustration of mine came from someone in the town centre who was taking photos of the homeless, and they were making just really naive, ridiculous remarks like, why don't they just get a job, and why don't they just fix up and stop doing this and some really horrible names and whatever it might be. And I think that level of, you know, dare I say, stupidity and naivety kind of hit a nerve to say, actually, they're just like me and you with different problems, you know. There's someone's son and daughter, there's someone's mother and father, perhaps there's someone's brother and sister. And it's a really sad thing to see that. We have some conversations with people that have walked past us, or that we've spoken about, or I've spoken about with the charity, and they say, well, why did you do it? Because of this. And you just think, oh, well, you know, it's that, oh, well, I've heard they're like this, I've heard they're like this. Come and engage with them, and it will change the way you think and change the way you feel. Like I say, not all of them are perfect, but let us make sure that we don't start stereotyping them all. But yeah, I mean, feel free to comment, share, and whatever else, give us suggestions or any observations that you have. It's just supposed to be a bit of information, I think, and I think from working with them for quite some time, I've obviously grown very attached to them, and it's really important that we treat them properly, and also we go out and help these people, because really we can't live in a world without cohesion. In Crawley now, 110,000 or so people, you know, 10% of those 10,000 people were potentially in food poverty. You go into your fridge, there's nothing there, or you go into your cupboards, there's nothing there. So stuff like that is really damaging. What we have to do is really have to grip it together and help each other with this. Make sure that, you know, people aren't really going hungry, or people do need help, and people are helped as well. You know, let's not live in that bubble, let's not live on our own, and let's not kind of ignore the stuff around us. Anyway, thank you very much for listening and watching. Sajid from Giving Back Crawley. Visit www.givingbackcrawley.org for a bit more information, how you can reach out to us, volunteer with us, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the video.